Most men get lost when a woman acts confused about them. One day she's warm, flirty, and giving signals. The next, she's distant, unsure, or doesn't know what she wants. And that emotional roller coaster drives men insane. They start overanalyzing every text, trying to fix her confusion, or worse, trying to convince her to choose them. That's the biggest mistake. You don't win a woman's clarity by chasing it. You win it by controlling yours. A woman's confusion is often a test. It reveals whether you can stay grounded while she spins. If you crumble, she loses respect. If you hold your frame, she starts to see you as the stable anchor she's been searching for. The truth is, her confusion isn't your problem to solve. It's your opportunity to show strength. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to handle a girl who's confused about you, without chasing, begging, or losing control. Point 1. Don't try to solve her confusion. Stay grounded in yours. When a woman acts confused about you, most men make the same fatal mistake. They try to fix it. They start asking, "What's wrong?" or "Where do we stand?" They think if they just say the right thing, she'll suddenly make up her mind and come running back. But that's not how attraction works. The moment you try to fix her emotions, you step into a role no man should ever take, the role of the needy problem solver. And once you do that, you stop being the mystery that attracted her in the first place and become the emotional crutch she doesn't respect. Here's the truth. When a woman is confused, it's not always about you. Sometimes she's sorting out her own emotions, her past, or her insecurities. But if you make her confusion your mission to fix, you communicate one thing, that her emotions have power over you. And the second she feels she can control your behavior through confusion, she'll lose attraction, even if she doesn't mean to. The powerful move is to stay grounded in your own clarity. You know what you want, you know your direction, and you don't crumble just because her feelings fluctuate. You don't chase for reassurance, you don't demand answers, and you don't pressure her to decide. You stay calm. That calmness creates polarity. While she's spinning, your stability becomes magnetic. She starts to feel safe, drawn to your energy, not because you fixed her confusion, but because you didn't lose yourself in it. Here's how this works in practice. When she says things like, "I don't know how I feel," or "I'm confused about us," you don't argue or over-explain. You look her in the eye, calm, unbothered, and say something like, "That's okay. Take your time." Then you go on with your life. That sentence alone communicates power. It shows that you're not dependent on her decision to feel secure. That's how real masculine energy operates, steady, centered, and confident even in uncertainty. So remember this, your goal isn't to solve her confusion. It's to maintain your composure while she figures it out. Because when you stay grounded, her confusion becomes your advantage. You stop chasing her clarity, and she starts chasing your calm. Point 2. Don't chase reassurance. Create emotional contrast. When a woman is confused about you, the biggest trap is chasing reassurance. You start sending long texts, asking if she's okay, reminding her of your connection, or trying to prove that what you had was real. That's emotional begging disguised as care. It doesn't make her feel secure. It makes her feel smothered. You can't talk a woman into certainty. You have to let her feel the difference between your presence and your absence. That contrast is what creates clarity inside her, not your words. Here's the truth. Women don't fall for men who chase them during uncertainty. They fall for men who stay solid and unreactive. When she's unsure, you don't bombard her with validation. You pull back slightly, not to play games, but to let her feel what life is like without your consistent energy flooding her world. Silence and space are powerful teachers. If she truly values your presence, she'll feel that emptiness. If she doesn't, then you saved yourself from wasting time on confusion that was never going to become commitment. Either way, you win. The reason emotional contrast works is because it triggers her curiosity and emotional awareness. When you're always available, she takes your energy for granted. But when you step back with quiet strength, she feels the shift. She starts thinking, "Why isn't he chasing? Has he lost interest? Did I push too far?" That's when her confusion begins to dissolve and attraction starts to reignite. She moves toward you not because you convinced her, but because she feels the difference. Here's what it looks like in real life. You don't send 10 messages trying to check her temperature. You send one confident message, or sometimes none at all, and then you continue with your mission. You don't react to silence. You embody peace. Because a grounded man knows that emotional clarity doesn't come from chasing, it comes from leading. So remember this: every time you chase reassurance, you kill the mystery. Every time you give her space with confidence, you build respect. Women don't crave explanations, they crave emotional stability. Let her feel the loss of your presence, not the weight of your need. Because the man who doesn't chase clarity becomes the clarity she's been searching for. Point 3. Set the emotional standard. Don't match her uncertainty. When a woman is confused about you, she'll send mixed signals. One moment she's affectionate and warm, and the next she's distant, cold, or uncertain. Most men make the fatal mistake of mirroring her inconsistency. They get warm when she's warm, cold when she's cold, emotional when she's emotional. That turns the entire dynamic into chaos. But here's the truth. In every relationship or connection, one person sets the emotional tone and the other follows it. The question is, will it be her or you? If you allow her confusion to dictate your behavior, you lose all control. You start reacting instead of leading. You get trapped in the emotional storm instead of being the calm in it. And when that happens, she stops feeling attraction and starts feeling power. The moment she senses that her mood determines yours, you've given her emotional dominance. And once that balance flips, attraction dies. The powerful move is this: you set the standard. You decide how you show up. Whether she's distant or affectionate, your tone doesn't waver. You're consistent, grounded, and composed. If she's acting uncertain, you don't respond with panic or coldness. You respond with stability. That stability is magnetic because it gives her something she can't find in herself: direction. When she's lost, your composure becomes her anchor. Here's how this plays out. She says, "I don't know what I want right now." The weak man gets emotional, starts explaining, convincing, or pleading. The strong man simply smiles and says, "That's okay. I know what I want." That sentence alone separates you from every other man in her life. Because you're not trying to control her, you're controlling yourself. You're communicating that her confusion doesn't disturb your peace, and that peace is what she'll eventually crave. See, attraction isn't about being the loudest. It's about being the calmest. It's about showing that no matter how uncertain she feels, you remain certain. No matter how she wavers, you stay steady. That kind of masculine composure doesn't just earn her respect, it pulls her in emotionally. So remember this: if you match her confusion, you become part of her storm. If you set the standard, you become her shelter. And once she feels that stability, she'll start chasing the calm that only you provide. Point 4. Don't try to convince her. Let reality do the talking. When a woman is confused about you, the weak instinct is to talk her into choosing you. You start reminding her how good things were, replaying memories, or saying things like, "I know you feel something too." But here's the hard truth. The more you try to convince her, the more you convince her that you don't believe in your own value. Attraction isn't a debate. You can't talk a woman into desire. You can only make her feel it again, and words alone can't do that. Every time you try to reason with her confusion, you step into the wrong role. You become the salesman, pitching yourself like a product, waiting for approval. And the moment she feels that energy, her respect fades. Because deep down, women aren't drawn to men who plead for understanding. They're drawn to men who stand in their truth, whether she joins them or not. The right move? Stop convincing and start embodying. When she's uncertain, you don't argue for your worth. You display it through calm confidence, through silence, through action. You stay focused on your life, your goals, your routine. You become so locked in on your mission that her confusion looks small compared to your direction. And that shift in energy changes everything. When you stop chasing her clarity and start living yours, she feels it. She starts wondering, why isn't he fighting for me? Why does he seem so secure even when I'm unsure? That's how attraction reignites, not through logic, but through emotional gravity. Think of it like this: words chase, presence attracts. 1,000 messages won't make her sure, but one calm moment of silence might, because silence from a man who could speak but chooses not to has power. It says, I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to continue being who I am. And that quiet certainty drives women wild because it's rare. So remember this, when she's confused, don't talk more, talk less. Let your actions, your energy, and your composure do the work. Because a woman might question your words, but she can never ignore your presence. And the man who doesn't chase her understanding becomes the man she can't stop trying to understand. 5. Pull back with power, not punishment. When a woman starts acting confused, sending mixed signals, taking longer to reply, or claiming she needs space, most men react emotionally. They either chase harder, trying to fix things, or they swing to the opposite extreme, cutting her off completely to make a point. Both are mistakes. One reeks of desperation, the other of bitterness. The truth is, neither move shows strength. The real power is in the middle, in pulling back with composure, not anger. Here's what that means. When she's distant or uncertain, you don't punish her with silence or coldness. You simply redirect your energy elsewhere. You withdraw your attention, not as revenge, but as recalibration. You stop feeding confusion with effort. You let her feel the natural consequence of pulling away, the loss of your presence. Because here's the secret. When a man stops chasing, the woman finally feels the weight of what she's risking. Most men fail here because they confuse detachment with disinterest. Being calm doesn't mean being careless. You don't have to be rude, you just have to be selective. Respond slower. Prioritize your mission, your gym, your friends, your peace. When she sees you moving forward with focus instead of sulking, it hits differently. She expects you to chase. When you don't, her curiosity awakens. She starts wondering, did I lose him? Has he moved on? Why isn't he trying anymore? That curiosity is the spark that can reignite attraction. Pulling back with power also protects your self-respect. You show that you're not waiting on her confusion to dictate your next move. You're not freezing your life until she figures hers out. You're moving forward regardless. And ironically, that's when most women begin to chase again, because your strength reminds them why they were drawn to you in the first place. So remember this, power isn't in punishing her. It's in staying in control of yourself. You don't ghost, you don't beg, you don't explain. You just stop overgiving your time to someone who's unsure of it. Let her confusion echo in the space your absence creates. Because the man who walks away calmly is 10 times more attractive than the man who begs to stay. Point 6. Lead the dynamic. Don't wait for her to decide. When a woman is confused about you, she'll often say things like, I just need time, or I'm not sure what I want right now. And most men, terrified of losing her, agree to wait. They sit in limbo, hoping she'll wake up one day and realize he's the one. But here's the truth. Waiting isn't patience, it's passivity. And passivity kills attraction. Because when you sit around waiting for her to decide, you're silently telling her, you lead, I'll follow. That's the opposite of masculine energy. A man who knows his worth doesn't hand over the steering wheel. He doesn't wait for permission to move forward. He leads. That doesn't mean he pressures her or demands answers. It means he maintains momentum in his life, his purpose, and even in how he handles the connection. If she's uncertain, he doesn't freeze. He keeps living with clarity. He doesn't chase her decision. He embodies his own. Here's why this works. Women are emotionally wired to follow strength. When she's confused and you respond with stillness, she looks to you for stability. But when she's confused and you respond with confusion, the dynamic collapses. You've joined her chaos instead of leading her out of it. A powerful man guides through calmness. His life keeps moving, his standards remain high, and his focus doesn't shift just because she's lost in her feelings. That unshakable direction becomes magnetic. She starts to see that you don't need her to feel whole. You choose her from a place of strength, and that difference changes everything. In practice, this means you stop living in reaction mode. You don't wait for her text before making plans. You don't put your day on pause to analyze her tone. You don't orbit her indecision. You keep leading your life like a man with vision. If she comes back ready, you're there, calm and composed. If she doesn't, you've already won because you never compromised your standards to begin with. So remember, leadership isn't about control, it's about direction. When you keep moving forward while she's still figuring herself out, you create the polarity that reignites her attraction. Because deep down, every woman wants to follow a man who knows exactly where he's going. Point 7. Stay emotionally unavailable until she earns back access. When a woman is confused about you, she might come and go, hot one day and cold the next. Most men, desperate for consistency, welcome her back instantly the moment she shows interest again. They open the door wide, act like nothing happened, and pour their energy right back into her. But here's the problem. When you reward confusion with instant emotional access, you teach her that your time, your attention, and your heart have no boundaries. And the moment a woman knows she can drift in and out of your life without consequence, she loses respect for you completely. The strong move is to stay emotionally unavailable until she earns her place again. That doesn't mean you're bitter or cold, it means you're selective. You don't instantly hand over the same energy she once doubted. You scale it back. You stay calm, kind, but distant. You engage only on your terms, not hers. That space forces her to confront the reality she tried to avoid, losing your emotional presence. And that realization hits harder than any lecture ever could. Here's how it works psychologically. When she feels your emotional distance, her mind goes into overdrive. Why does he seem so composed? Why isn't he opening up like before? Did I lose his trust? Has he moved on? That uncertainty starts to create emotional friction, and that friction transforms confusion into clarity. She starts to realize what she had and what she risked. The more she senses that she's no longer at the center of your world, the more she fights to get back there. But here's the key. Don't fake it. Don't pretend you're detached while secretly waiting for her to text. Actually build that distance by pouring into your life again. Focus on your purpose, your growth, your peace. When she reaches out, you respond with warmth, but not depth. You don't reveal everything. You don't open up fully. You make her climb back up the emotional ladder she once walked away from. That's what rebalances the dynamic, when she starts investing again instead of taking your attention for granted. So remember this, attraction isn't sustained through availability. It's sustained through value. If she wants back into your emotional world, make her earn it. Because the man who gives his energy too freely gets forgotten, but the man who protects his energy becomes unforgettable. Conclusion. Now you know the truth about handling a woman who's confused about you. Most men react to her uncertainty by chasing, convincing, or over-explaining, but that's exactly what kills attraction. The strong man doesn't fix her confusion. He stands firm in his clarity. He doesn't chase reassurance. He creates contrast. He sets the emotional standard instead of matching her chaos. He stops convincing with words and lets his calm presence speak louder. When she wavers, he doesn't punish. He pulls back with power. He keeps leading his life without waiting for her to decide, and he stays emotionally unavailable until she proves she deserves access again. Because here's the truth. Her confusion isn't your obstacle. It's your filter. It reveals whether you're ruled by emotion or grounded in purpose. The man who keeps his composure when she's uncertain is the man she can't replace. While other men chase answers, he becomes the answer. While others lose control, he becomes the calm she secretly craves. That's how you flip the dynamic, by mastering yourself, not managing her. So remember, never argue for clarity, stand in it. Because the moment you stop reacting to her confusion, she stops doubting your value and starts realizing you're the only one who never lost it.